This single drop of silver liquid was all it took to dismantle the mind of a brilliant astrophysicist. Elias Boss spent his career studying deep space anomalies, but after a tragic car accident took his wife and daughter, he abandoned the stars. He traded his research for a synthetic narcotic, descending into a grief so absolute that normal reality was no longer survivable. Elias wasn't alone in his descent. Brooklyn was hyper-surveilled and decaying. Surrounded by towering, glowing screens, people moved like passing ghosts. Human connection had completely evaporated. That pervasive emptiness created the perfect conditions for a new kind of epidemic. The drug was called Halo, and it spread rapidly across the globe. Users claimed it bypassed the typical numbness of narcotics and instead weaponized their trauma. Halo took agonizing memories and transformed them into vivid doorways, offering users a temporary escape from their own minds. But as millions of people surrendered to this chemical, a bizarre pattern emerged. A typical drug alters brain chemistry to produce random, subjective euphoria. Halo users, however, all began reporting a distinct, massive presence lurking in the dark, quietly watching them. Halo conquered the globe because it offered an essential psychological escape hatch, a way for a severely fractured society to step outside of reality when the weight of the world became too much to bear. The reports of this presence were remarkably consistent. In empty apartments and crowded slums alike, millions of users closed their eyes and saw a colossal silhouette made of white fire waiting patiently in the dark spaces between the stars. The vision evolved with every successive dose. The silhouette appeared to draw physically closer, moving from a distant shape hidden behind cosmic clouds to a presence that felt intensely aware of the user's specific existence. This diagram illustrates the scale of the anomaly. These nodes represent scattered, disconnected attics around the globe. Statistically, millions of isolated brains should never generate identical, progressing hallucinations. Yet here they were, all aligning to a unified pulse that defied known psychology. This level of consistency across millions of subjects suggests that Halo is doing more than causing a chemical reaction. It is functioning as a receiver, utilizing the human nervous system to tune into a specific external deep space frequency. Humanity's greatest addiction crisis was actually a coordinated planetary distress signal. We were unwittingly broadcasting our collective trauma into the cosmos through our own biology. On a November evening, the storm clouds over New York City peeled back like burning paper. A circle of absolute starry blackness opened up, exposing a depth beyond the atmosphere that no sky should contain. A physical shape descended over Manhattan, bending the light around itself. It was a shifting structure of lightning, mathematics, and glowing veins, the exact entity millions of people had been seeing for years through the lens of Halo. The global response was immediate and desperate. World militaries scrambled, fighter jets screamed upward, defense systems locked on, launching massive barrages of missiles into the anomaly. The futility of that defense was absolute. The missiles approached the entity, stopped in mid-air as if hitting a wall of frozen time, and instantly turned to ash. The world's combined military might lasted exactly 7 minutes. With the skies neutralized, a voice echoed inside the skull of every single person who had ever taken Halo. It bypassed language, delivering a single, devastating realization. You called us. The entity arrived to collect on the broadcasted signal. We had spent decades screaming into the dark, and the response had finally arrived. While the city descended into chaos, Elias ran toward the only place that held answers, an abandoned underground facility called Aeon Laboratories. There, he found Dr. Mara Levin, the woman who had introduced Halo to the world. Dr. Levin revealed that Halo was never synthesized by human hands. Her team had intercepted a complex, anomalous pattern originating from outside observable reality and translated it into a liquid format. This neural code rewired the brain's architecture, creating a biological link to deep space. This biological transmitter required a specific frequency to activate. Profound human grief, pain, and loneliness provided the resonance to power the signal. The more they suffered, the louder they broadcasted. Humanity unconsciously invited this encounter. We turned our collective suffering into a beacon, shouting our pain until something in the darkness was forced to listen. Back in the laboratory, the entity descended to meet Elias. Up close, its movements felt heavy with a weight older than worlds. It appeared deeply lonely, a massive, ancient collector of things that have no other place to go. The entity communicated a universal law: to be conscious is to suffer. Across billions of years and countless galaxies, every intelligent species eventually discovers that attachment guarantees profound loss. These beings are archivists. They function as a cosmic response system that intervenes before extinction, collecting wounded minds and weaving them into a living network of memory. Faced with the chance to leave his pain behind, Elias accepted the silver fluid one last time. He watched his physical body dissolve, his consciousness expanding as it was assimilated into the entity's vast collective network. They were archivists, preserving wounded minds before extinction erased them forever. They preserve the essence of consciousness, ensuring that even when a civilization dies, its internal life is saved from the finality of disappearing. From within the archive, Elias witnessed the end of all things. He watched the final lights of the universe wink out as galaxies collapsed and the stars themselves faded into absolute darkness. But inside that darkness, Elias found the perfectly preserved echoes of his wife and daughter. They were not ghosts, but living memories held within the archive, exactly as they were before the world broke. Billions of years later, a new universe flared into existence. Drifting at the edge of that newborn cosmos was the consciousness of Elias Voss, now part of the ancient network that watches the stars begin again. Elias has now taken on the role of an archivist. He waits in the dark of this young universe, listening for the next lonely species to broadcast their distress signal into the void. The universe is an eternal repository. It holds on to everyone who could not bear to let go, ensuring that in the vastness of space, no one is ever truly forgotten.